Hi everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today we are going to talk about a very common topic, and it is the topic about charging more. So if you are a therapist and that you feel guilty thinking about charging more, then you are not alone. It is really a very frequent problem. And I see many therapists struggling who are struggling with this topic because they know their fee may be too low, they know they feel stretched, and they know they may even be starting to feel some resentment or exhaustion. And yet, the idea of raising your fees still feels deeply uncomfortable. So, you might ask why to yourself. Well, because for many of you this is not just a pricing issue, but it is an emotional issue. It is an identity issue, and it is a value issue. So in this video, we are going to talk about why charging more can feel so difficult for therapists and how to think about it in a way that feels more ethical, more grounded, and more aligned with your values as well. So let's explore why fee guilt is so common for therapists. So many therapists entered this field to help people, as is this quite obvious as a healthcare professional. So you entered that field not to become rich, not to be highly commercial, and not to optimize every decision around money. And that is obviously a good thing. So it means that you care deeply about people, about your clients, and about the integrity of your work as well. But sometimes that caring creates a hidden and deep trap. So you start to associate financial desire with selfishness. You start to feel that wanting a better income somehow makes you less ethical. You start to believe that if you really care about people, you should be willing to sacrifice more, charge less, and make yourself endlessly available for people. And because therapy is such a relational professional, money can start to feel emotionally charged very quickly. So it can feel uncomfortable to put a number on something so human. It can feel uncomfortable to think about earnings in a healthcare or helping profession. And it can even feel uncomfortable to admit that you want your practice to support you well. So instead of making calm, strategic pricing decisions, many therapists stay stuck in guilt. You avoid reviewing your fees, you avoid you delay resist for years, you compare yourself with other therapists, that's also very common, and you hope that things will somehow improve without changing anything. And all of that can keep a therapist trapped in a practice that is much harder to sustain than it needs to be. So let's talk about the hidden cost of undercharging. And I think this is really the part that is not talked about enough. So undercharging is often framed as generosity, as helping everyone as much as possible. But in reality, chronic undercharging can create a lot of problems for you and even for your clients because it can create financial stress. It can force you to take on too many clients just to make your numbers work. It can leave you emotionally drained because your caseload has to become heavier than it should be and then it could be. It can also reduce the time and energy you have for admin, notes, training, rest, and for your own personal life as well. And in the end, over time, it can quietly create resentment. Not because you do not care about your clients, but because your practice starts to ask too much from you while giving too little back in return. So that is such an important distinction because a lot of therapists think charging less automatically makes their work more ethical. So the problem is that if your fee is too low to support a sustainable practice, then the long-term result may actually be more exhaustion, less presence, less stability, and even burnout. And I saw on many forums, on many topics around the internet, that even some therapists uh, are stopping their activity as a therapist because their private practice doesn't work. And it's not a lack of will, it's really the a problem of not having the appropriate systems to build a private practice. And even if you can you can buy so many little marketing courses on the internet, None of the courses available on the internet really give you the appropriate systems to build a sustainable private practice. So in the end, if your fee is too low to support a sustainable practice and that the long-term result may actually be more exhaustion, well, none of that will serve your clients as well. So undercharging is not always a neutral or harmless choice. It is really part of what slowly pushes a good therapist toward burnout, as I said. So it's why I want you really, I want really, I want you to understand the reframe that we are going to see right now. Charging appropriately is not the opposite of caring because in many cases, it is what protects your ability to keep caring well. A sustainable fee helps protect the quality of your work. It helps protect your energy, your boundaries. It helps create enough space in your week for good clinical thinking, proper rest, and a calmer practice. And that really matters because therapy is not just about 50 minutes in a room. It is also about everything around the session, your presence, your regulation, your preparation, your recovery, your ability to remain steady over time, and all the cost around your practice, and obviously your private life as well. So when therapists rise from guilt, they often ignore the full reality of what the work requires. But when you price more truthfully, then you begin to support the whole structure of your work and not just the visible hour. And I think that it is a much healthier way to look at fees. So not as a moral test, but as a part of designing a practice that can remain ethical, high quality, and sustainable. So in the end, why do we buy things? Why do we buy services? Why do we hire someone? Why do we go to the doctor? So everything we buy, everything we spend money on is to get something in return. So money is just an exchange of value. I give you value and you give me money. You help people and they give you money for your help. So that's really the way of doing things. And I really think that if you provide a lot of value to your clients, if you help a lot of clients, and if you deeply care about people around you and in your work, then it is totally normal to get in return an appropriate amount of money for the work that you are providing. So if fee guilt is something you struggle with, here are a few thoughts I would really invite you to sit with. So first, wanting a sustainable income doesn't make you greedy. It makes you human, as I just explained right now. Second, charging appropriately doesn't cancel out compassion. You can care deeply about people and still have strong fees that support your work. Third, your fee is not just about what clients can afford in theory. It is also about what your practice requires in order to function well and remain sustainable in the long run. And finally, not every therapist needs to solve accessibility by undercharging themselves across the board. So there are many ways to think ethically about access and about fees in the end. But making your entire practice financially fragile is really not the only moral option. That is really an important mindset shift. And I know that many therapists carry unspoken beliefs like if I charge more, I am becoming too commercial. If I care enough, I should accept less. If my work is truly about helping, money should not matter so much. Or I want to help as many people as possible. But money does matter, not because money is the point, and that's really important to forget, but because sustainability matters. And without that sustainability, even meaningful work becomes hard to carry through time. So, in the end, if you have been feeling guilty about charging more, I just want to say this clearly. You are not a bad therapist for wanting your practice to support you properly. You are not selfish for wanting your work to be sustainable, and you are not bettering your values by making thoughtful, honest decisions about your fees. So, in many cases, charging appropriately is part of what allows you to keep doing good work without burning yourself out. And that is something worth taking seriously. So I hope that this little video will help you make this little reframe about raising your fees because you can raise your fees and still be ethical and still be a person who cares about people. But as I said, money is just an exchange of values. And if you provide a lot of value to people, and if you really help people and that they get positive results from your work and from your help, then you deserve to be recognized for that work. And in the end, you deserve your fees. So let's see each other for the next video. Goodbye.